Hello, everyone. Happy New Year and welcome back to Roll On Gaming. It is 2024. It is the year that Star Wars Unlimited releases everywhere. And we're so excited to be talking about it once again in a new year with all of you. But where are my manners? My name is Kevin. Joining me, as always, is my brother Corwin. And Corwin, we are starting 2024 off with a bang. How excited are you for this year and this game that's coming out soon?
Yeah, happy New Year, man. It's going to be a great one. We've got Unlimited on the way here just in a couple short months, and we've got some good stuff coming up with limited format discussion here, and obviously lots more spoilers. So the train keeps rolling.
Yeah, so the Fantasy Flight Games chose what could have been probably the most hyped stream they could have chosen for the first stream of 2024, which was explaining the draft rules to everybody, the limited formats in Star Wars Unlimited, sort of cohesion there. But it was a really cool stream. We'll talk all about it. We'll talk all about draft and sealed, and then we'll get into some of the new cards that were revealed because I believe we got somewhere around 15 new cards just from the stream alone. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We got a lot to talk about here, but first, I just want to say thank you to all of those who continue to support us. We just hit 200 subscribers on our YouTube channel, so that's a really something that's humbling for us, and we're very blessed and thankful for all of you who take time out of your day to listen to us yammer on about Star Wars Unlimited. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing that and drop a like on the video if you enjoy this content. Again, that continues to help us out a bunch as we continue talking about this game that we're really pumped about. That's going to be here in just another month and a half ish. So, really excited to talk about that. So, let's dive right in because draft and sealed is a format that designers have talked about at length as being something that they were really focused on in the design of Star Wars Unlimited. And we finally got the draft rules and the sealed rules. So, before we get into all that, Corwin, how excited are you for limited formats in Star Wars Unlimited? Because you have sort of a unique approach to how you're going to be acquiring cards for this game. Talk a little bit about why you're using limited formats to your advantage here.
Well, yeah, I mean, I mean, I've been pretty vocal about this from the beginning. Like, I think limited play is really where most of my interest is with Unlimited because I just want to get back in the stores and I want to, see people and play face to face. And so I think, given that these limited formats are going to give you, a fair amount of packs to work with, I think it's a great way to build a collection organically. It's certainly the way I'm intending to approach the game at the beginning. And if I can get myself to enough of these events, that's going to help kind of bolster the card pool. So was really excited to see these rules. Draft. We've got 3 packs per person, so that's pretty good. And it means you're walking away with 44, 45 cards every draft event, and yeah, I think that's a great start, a great way to boost what you're getting from the starters and anything else you're acquiring pre-release. So um, yeah, I was really hyped for this stream, and it definitely delivered.
Well, you're gonna have to do a lot of drafting because this is the way you're gonna fill out the bulk of your Star Wars Unlimited collection from the jump. So those 3 packs are, I mean, they're gonna have to go a long way for your collection. So I'm really looking forward to how many drafts you're able to get into. If there is a competitive draft format down the line, you're certainly going to be someone who has a ton of experience with that. So shout out to you for reading the tea leaves, maybe.
I mean, I just think that again, like having that experience of um, being with 7 other people at a table and just picking cards and throwing out crazy ideas for decks. That's where the fun of the game is for me.
Well, it was a fun stream. They went over sort of a little bit of what you talked about. You said 8 people, six between 6 and 8, probably an even number. You want 6 or 8 is the recommended number for drafts for Star Wars Unlimited. Uh, Otherwise, you probably want to do sealed. It's going to be a little bit more effective. You're going to have a little bit more variety in some of the stuff that you're choosing. But draft, you're going to get 3 packs right off the rip. You're going to open all 3 packs immediately and take out the leaders. Now that was a really interesting concept because initial speculation with draft was, oh, do you draft the leaders? Do you put them all in a pool for people to draft later. No, so you're gonna take out the leaders without looking at the rest of the pack. That's going to be made easy by the fact that right behind the leader in the pack is a token base. So you're not going to be able to. It's not going to spoil anything that's in the rest of the pack. Even if it did, it'd be a common anyway, so it's not super concerning. And then you're going to draft leaders first. So leaders, you're going to have 3 leaders out of your 3 packs. You're going to choose the one you want the most, pass it to your right. You'll pick another leader, pass to your right, and get left with the 3rd leader that 2 other people passed on. Those 3 leaders are going to determine the focal point of what you're trying to draft for your decks. And Corwin, honestly, I really like this concept. I was sort of hesitant on it when they first announced it, just because I was a little overwhelmed with the idea of, oh, wait a minute, we're doing something not related to the packs first, but having already a template, a blueprint in front of you of like, okay, these are the 3 things I need to target regardless. Like, I think that's really a fun way to do it, in a way that sort of takes a little bit of the guesswork out of it, because you're going to have plenty of guesswork and plenty of strategy when you're dealing with these other cards in the pack. So I really liked it. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think it makes sense to have leaders kind of start things off, and I also think that for me it's important from like a card value standpoint, because we know chase leaders, or well, we were going to call them chase leaders, but some of the rarest cards in the game will be those really special leaders that I forget the name of them now, but they have, as the first, cards in the packs, being able to essentially have a chance to get one of those right away, I think is going to be important. And then of course setting up your draft strategy. So fully on board with leaders first, and I'm probably going to follow. I liked kind of Tyler's idea of keeping the entire pack closed
Hmm.
and just picking those leaders out,
Yeah.
and leaving the rest of it as a mystery. So that's probably going to be my approach. But yeah, I think it's going to be nice to kind of know, okay, this is the direction I'm going, kind of right off the rip, and then see what everyone else is doing too. The visibility of leaders everyone has is an interesting part of this as well.
Right, because it's face up, because the leaders are 2-sided, so you can't really hide who you're drafting, and they don't ask you to. Everybody is seeing what leaders are being taken. You can sort of get a feel for what other people around you are drafting. Maybe let
Mhm.
some cards go and get some in return, which is good. I mean, you hinted at the chase leaders. If you get a showcase leader, you're drafting it first. I mean, that's what's going to
Showcase.
happen.
That's what I'm.
But even
Yep.
even if you get a hyperspace leader, that's going to be something that's really cool too, in a way to fill out your collection, and not something you necessarily have to consider passing on if you don't want to. So that's really cool. Once you draft your leaders, you're going to take those token bases and throw them in the middle of the table, because you're going to be able to use whatever base you want when you're building your deck to pair with a leader, whatever common base you want. If there's a rare base, that'll be in the rare slot, and that'll be something that you draft. But the token bases, you get your pick, and even if there aren't enough, you can just have some from a supply, whether from the store or from your own. I think this is really smart, because it doesn't lock you out of really anything. I mean, we saw Xander during the draft get all cunning villainy leaders passed to him. So even in that instance, you have the freedom to go in another direction with another color, because you have whatever base you choose available to you at your disposal, no matter what. So again, they really have put a lot of thought into this draft process. So that was really cool. And then once you've done that, you're gonna go left, right, left. So you're gonna have the rest of the cards in your pack, which is 14. After you take out the leader in the base, you're gonna take those 14 cards, pick one, pass to your left for the first pack. Then the second pack, you're gonna take one, pass to your right. Third pack, again back to the left, and then all of a sudden you've got 42 cards, or 41 if you drafted a base, to build your deck from. It's a 30 card minimum deck, but you can go over, obviously, depending on what you drafted and how much you want to prevent against decking yourself out, or if you have extras you want to make sure to include, or even if you just want to throw all your cards in and have extra resourcing options. That's a choice you can make. So overall, I think the process is going to be pretty smooth once people sort of get the hang of the leaders first type of thing. Everything else is just like a normal draft. But again, having that framework, it seems like it's going to be pretty cool. I mean, I'm pretty excited about it. Like draft is something that I didn't really enjoy in other games, but like draft looks really fun here. And I think in Star Wars Unlimited more than any other game I played, I'm going to be excited to play draft because you have a lot of freedom within the leaders that you draft to be able to just sort of branch out and do really cool things.
Yeah, and worst case scenario, again, this is coming back to the fundamental rules of the game, but there are cards that you can put in that you just pay the aspect penalty for, and you're
Mm-hmm.
still able to run.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you're completely locked out of anything. I mean, hopefully you don't have a lot of those, but
Mm-hmm.
you could still, draft. I mean, for me personally, I'm thinking about it. I'm still going to be thinking about it from a value standpoint. And if I see cards that I need or cards that I really want, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe they don't fit my deck, but I'm probably taking those for my collection and then maybe paying extra for them in the event. So I think people that sets it up for people to kind of draft how they want.
Yeah.
Some will draft for building the competitive deck they want to win the event. Some will draft for value. Some will draft for a mixture of the two. But there's a lot of possibilities, and again, going back to the rules of the game, allowing for there still to be playability there
Yep.
for those cards is that feels like a win for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and you saw some of that value drafting there a little bit because Danny in the stream was just taking all the hyperspaces and foils, which was great. And again, that's something I'm probably going to do, especially towards the beginning. Is like, I've got
Yes.
I've got some boxes on pre-order, but I'm not going to get all the hyperspaces and foils that I want, despite there being one foil in every pack, right? The hyperspaces are two to every three packs, and I actually saw a fair amount of them in the stream. I mean,
Mhm.
there's no telling what we didn't see because obviously we didn't see every card that was drafted. There were a couple cards that were held out, but I think I counted 8 hyperspace cards out of 18 packs, which I think is a little bit below curve. But again, we saw maybe a third of the cards that were actually drafted between the 4 decks that were actually played, the 2 that weren't, and then the cards that were either in or out of other people's decks. Of those 8 hyperspace cards, there were 4 bases, 1 leader, 2 events, and 1 unit. The unit was a foil, so a foil hyperspace, which by the way looked awesome. They had a partisan insurgent, and the combination of the hyperspace and the foiling was just incredible. Chef's kiss. So there's definitely going to be a fair amount of that. When I need some extra hyperspaces or foils to bling out my constructed decks, I'm going to be drafting those. And so again, as I mentioned, like Tyler got past a Millennium Falcon. Now, if he had been playing either yellow or heroism, he could very easily take that Falcon and pay 5 for it in his deck. He could have done that. Paying 7 for that Falcon, considering he was in 2 completely opposite colors, probably not something you could do. But again, Millennium Falcons are hard to come by, so that might just be one where you forfeit and forfeit that slot in your deck and choose something else down the line. But like, I see no reason why you can't at least like save that pack one pick one for something you really want in your correct collection as opposed to something that's really going to help out your deck. Because at the end of the day, that was one of my biggest fundamental problems of drafting in Star Wars Destiny is that you open 3 packs and you're drafting the entire contents of those 3 packs at once because it was a 6-pack draft. So if you got 2 legendaries in those 3 packs or like a really sick rare and a legendary, like you're passing one of them. It doesn't matter what it is. So at least this way, you're going 1 pack at a time. You can pick the card that best suits you, however your playstyle or however you want to approach your draft, as you mentioned. There's no real feel bad there unless, again, it's something that you hope sticks around and doesn't come back around the second time.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. And again, it sets people up to sort of do what they wish. And so I think it's definitely going to be a great format for folks, regardless of what your intentions are showing up to the event. It's going to be a great format to build your collection, compete. Because there's prizes attached to draft events too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people are going to want to chase those, and build decks are going to help them get there. And there's plenty of room for that as well.
And so they also basically said the sealed rules are the same thing, except it's 6 packs and you're not passing anything. You just buy the 6 packs, and whatever you get in those packs, you build a deck with. Where do you land in terms of what you're more excited for between draft and sealed?
I think it's draft just because of the further interaction with everybody else that
Mm-hmm.
you'll get. But I've always liked sealed formats.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're really fun. I think just kind of having a limited pool to just build the best thing you can build with is a good. I mean, either way you have that, but with limited, there's a few more options. Or sealed, I'm sorry, there's a few more options, and so I feel like that's going to be a fun format too. But draft I think is taking the edge for me.
You know, when I heard that there was going to be both draft and sealed in Star Wars Unlimited, my brain immediately gravitated to sealed because I'm greedy, right? I want to keep all the cards I pull in my packs. I just want to. Um, so I thought, you know, and especially again, this comes back to the experience of drafting in Destiny. Like I didn't want to give up any good cards, so I thought, okay, sealed's the way to go for me. We're gonna get this done, and we're gonna keep all these cards, and I'm not gonna feel bad passing anything. But after watching that stream, draft might have overtaken sealed as in terms of excitement for me because one, the format allows you to be a lot more selective in the cards you pick, right? So it's not just that pack one, pick one, which you're gonna, you know, have the world at your fingertips at that point. It's also picks 2 through 14, where you're gonna be able to build a much more theoretically build a much more cohesive deck out of the cards that are in the pool rather than relying on just the limited pool of the 6 packs that you buy. Now, one thing that's important that I want to mention is they did say that there will be one of every color common in the packs, in every pack. They did that intentionally so that, you know, regardless of what, you know, you open, if you're trying to, you know, build a deck in a certain color, you're not missing out regardless. And that's great, right? And so again, that opens up the floor to, well, if Corwin's sitting to my left and he's passing it to his right, left, right. If you're here, then you're okay. That's correct. Okay, great. Uh, if you're sitting over here and you're passing it to me in the second round, and I already know you're going for blue hero, then I'm likely to assume that my green villain card is going to get passed to me. And if that's and there's 2 parts to that. One, if it does get passed to me, I know, okay, he's probably not going anywhere with green. If it doesn't get passed to me, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, there might be some green going on here because it's pack po and pick one, and the green card's already missing, right? So there's a little bit more strategy there as well. But I just think you're going to be able to build something that is a little bit more refined with draft. That combined with the fact that, again, as you mentioned, the camaraderie of sitting around and passing packs and discussing and having a good time and being in the mix a little bit. Like I would, I don't know if I'd go as far as to say I want to draft every week, because you know I'm going to want to get some constructed play in as well. But I could definitely see a world in which draft every other week is something that I'm absolutely showing up for, paying the $15 for packs and sitting down and drafting with a bunch of bros, because I feel like that would be super fun.
Yeah, I mean, it would and it will. And I think I think sealed will too. You
Hmm.
can circle up and everyone's opening and sharing what they got and
Hmm.
you know, kind of talking through what they're gonna build. Yeah, it's just that's what I'm here for. So I'm excited to get to that point where we're doing that again and just opening packs in general
Oh
is
my
just like
goodness. Oh my goodness. The fact that they had real packs and real cards on the table for the first time. I mean, I can I tell you, I was salivating. Like I'm chomping at the bit because I know the feeling of opening that first pack of Star Wars Unlimited is going to be just complete. I don't know the word for it. It's gonna be transcendent is what it's gonna be. Because we've had this whole lead up since May. We're a month and a half away. We're gonna be doing sealed right off the rip, right? Pre-release weekend. You're gonna have your pre-release kits. You're gonna crack open that first pack. You're gonna see the leaders. You're gonna see the commons, the uncommons, the rares, the foils. The foils look awesome, as I mentioned. I think that the coolest foil that I saw was probably the TIE Advance foil, because the rainbow foiling on top of the black border. Oh my goodness. I need these packs in my hands. Like I keep doing this with my hands because I just want to touch them. I just want to hold them. I just want to open them. I just want to do stuff to them. It's just like, oh my goodness. Yes, packs are going to be such a huge draw, and any chance I have to then take those packs and do something with them is something that I'm pretty excited about.
Yep. Can't wait.
Can't wait. So that is draft and sealed. Again, super fun stream. If you haven't seen it, go check it out on the Fantasy Flight Games YouTube channel. They played 2 games afterwards, and both games were really cool just to see how people built their decks and the way things swung back and forth a little bit, as you would expect in a limited format. So go back and watch that stream. Again, they held off a couple cards, so I'm excited to see what those end up being. We got a lot of cards since the Christmas holiday. So I wanna go through some of the ones that we've missed since we posted. I think we posted the day after Christmas, and we were already late. Let's first hit on one our favorite card that we've missed over the break, and I'm gonna start with the obvious because it's me. I have to start where we basically ended with our last episode on the podcast, and that's Darth Vader. I was talking about my Christmas wish for 2024 being a sweet Darth Vader unit, and then literally on Christmas, here comes Darth Vader. I love that Darth Vader has now sort of graced a couple different sort of surprise reveals, because we got the "I am your father" reveal on a Sunday, which was Father's Day. I mean, with perfect time to do it. And then Darth Vader shows up on Christmas, which nobody's expecting a card reveal on the Christmas holiday, and yet here he is, the perfect gift. So Darth Vader, if you have been living under a rock and haven't seen Darth Vader yet, this is a 7-cost ground unit in command and villainy. Darth Vader is a 5/7 Force Imperial Sith. He has ambush, and he has a when played ability that says search the top 10 cards of your deck for any number of villainy units with combined cost 3 or less, and play each of them for free. Now, I was watching the Unplayable podcast. Shout out to those guys. They do a great job. They're like a machine over there, just pumping out Star Wars Unlimited content. It's awesome. But I was listening to them, and Rebel Spy Mike made a really interesting point. It just says villainy on this. Doesn't have to be in aspect, which is also wild. Darth Vader, super fun card. Corwin, what do you think of Vader here?
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw Vader, I was like, this is a card. I mean, this is definitely a card that's going to pack a punch when he hits the table. I love the when played effect, being able to bring in units from your deck. It feels thematic. I mean, even with the art, look at him.
Mm-hmm.
He's got snowtroopers behind him, like just commanding his forces and bringing his reinforcements to bear in battle. Like, sign me up. He's really good looking to me, and having the 5 ambush too
Mm-hmm.
is going to be really nice when he hits the table. Super big fan of this card, and if it hadn't have been your pick, Kevin, it would have been mine,
Yeah.
because this is a really good one.
Well, I've definitely sniped that one from you a little bit, but yeah, this definitely worthy of legendary status. This Darth Vader. I'm still on record as saying it's probably not as good as the legendary Luke Skywalker, but they do different things, right? And I wrote a little bit about Darth Vader in an article on Deploy Your Leader Gaming, our second article on that website. Go check out Deploy Your Leader Gaming, deployyourleader.com, because one, the proprietor of Deploy Your Leader, Brian, is awesome, and two, they are partnering with ourselves and also with the Golden Dice podcast folks to feature articles about Star Wars Unlimited. So again, I wrote about Darth Vader and sort of what his sort of ceiling was, and I think Vader's ceiling is a little bit higher than Luke's, because Luke, you get what you pay for, right? For the 7 costs with Luke, you're getting the restore, you're getting the minuses on the when played ability, which is again incredible. Luke absolutely annihilated me when I was playing on the late night gaming live stream over right before the new year. If you missed that, that's still on their YouTube channel. Go check that out. Just plugs everywhere, by the way. But I think Vader's only going to get better the more sets we get, because they're going to be more 1 costs and 2 costs and 3 costs that have a significant impact on your board, that are just going to make Vader that much better to use his when played ability for. So I'm really excited to see where Vader goes. I think already he's in a really good spot. Obviously the dream is dropping 3 Death Star Stormtroopers, but I also think he's great just simply dropping a Veers before you use your ambush action, making him a 6/8 instead of a 5/7. Done. Easy peasy. So yeah, Vader's really cool. This is one I'm going to need 3 of for sure. I'm going to see if I can try to get it in hyperspace. This is one of the quintessential art pieces of Star Wars Unlimited, and I'm really excited about it. So I took your favorite. So what would be your runner-up for favorite for the cards that we have missed over the last couple weeks?
Yeah, for me, it's Force Throw. Um, this card feels like it's absolutely bananas. And feel free to step in, Kevin, if I'm wrong here. But um, paying 1, so it's a 1 in aggression,
Yep.
right? I guess we should just Force Throw. It's a 1 cost event in aggression with the Force trait, by the way.
Mhm.
Um, that says choose a player. That player discards a card from their hand. Then, if you control a force unit, you may deal damage to a unit equal to the cost of the discarded card. So, like, you were just talking about ceiling.
Mm.
What is the ceiling on this card? Because
Yeah.
that is the reason why I'm so enamored by it.
Well,
It
right
is
now it's 10.
crazy to think.
Right now it's 10.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is crazy to think that for 1 and a card out of your hand, you can annihilate some massive unit on the board. Um, and it just feels like it has so many different possible applications. Even even as just a pay 1, like, oh, I have an extra resource. Let me force throw, get rid of an opponent's card, and then maybe do a little bit of extra damage on the side if I have a force unit out. Like that just feels like the floor is already high with this card, and then you think about the ceiling.
Mhm.
That to me is why it stands out. Is just so much of a wide range of outcomes,
Mhm.
and I just yeah, I feel like is this card better than Force Choke? I kind of think so.
I think it's situationally better than Force Choke. Because one, there is the like you can play Force Choke without a Force unit on the board. This one
Yes,
you can't. I mean you can, but it's just a 1 cost discard at that point, and that's not great.
which I personally still think could be worth it. I mean, it's only 1, and sometimes you've got a floating resource.
Hmm.
Granted, yes, it's a card out of your hand too, but I don't even mind that necessarily.
Yeah.
I don't know that I hate the idea of paying 1 to make my opponent get rid of an option.
Yeah. Especially, there's a lot of flexibility there in the sense that if you do this early game, they probably have a plan in place of how they're structuring their
Mhm.
resources, and you're throwing a wrench into that whole thing. If you play it late game, they may only have 1 card in their hand. There's definitely a world in which this hurts your opponent on either side of the coin. I definitely got a redemption thrown at me on late night gaming and killed my Darth Vader. So I can speak personally to the power of this card.
See what I mean?
Yeah, I mean 1 cost for 8 damage to kill a leader. Now obviously that does carry a significant cost to it because now you're paying 2 cards to get rid of a unit. But when it's a leader like Vader or a leader in general that's taking up the board, that there's definitely a world in which that's worth it. I should point out that this card Force Throw was revealed by the folks over at TCG Cast. That link will be in the description box below. They revealed another card that we'll show in a bit, but I think this was sort of the start of the show. I like that both of our favorite cards have Vader on them, which is exciting. I also think that this was one of the hyperspace cards that we saw on the stream. Now that I'm sort of thinking back to it, and I didn't have that on my list, so that we actually saw 9 hyperspaces in 18 packs, which is that's a win. Yeah, Force Throw. And at an uncommon as well. That feels good.
Yeah. The only question I have about Force Throw is whether it's going to lend itself more to villainy.
Hmm.
Just because, you know, in red,
Mm-hmm.
hero red, I don't think we have a force unit or force leader yet.
No,
I don't
we
think.
definitely don't have a force leader. I think I've seen a decent chunk of Luke with red, just again because of the
Mm,
strength of both of those two colors and heroism. I definitely
mhm.
see a world where this makes that deck immensely better, as proven by throwing a redemption at me. Um,
Yes.
so and redemption's honestly a perfect target for this. Because you could have it in your hand and not want to play it or not be able to play it yet, and then there you go.
Yep.
Um, I do think it has a little bit more of a direct tie to villainy because villainy has some red force users
Yep.
that can hit the table, and we're actually going to talk about one of
There
them
we
right
are.
now. Um,
Yep.
so let's talk about the Seventh Sister, because this was another really exciting card that was revealed during the holiday. This one was one of 3 cards that were dropped by Nerdly. So the Seventh Sister is a 5 cost uh, aggression villainy ground unit. For that 5 cost, you're getting a 3/6 Force Imperial Inquisitor. There's that force trait that we were just talking about. Seventh Sister has Saboteur, and when this unit deals combat damage to an opponent's base, you may deal 3 damage to a ground unit that opponent controls. Seventh Sister might honestly be one of my new favorite units. Um, I think she has more uses in some decks than others, most notably Grand Inquisitor, um, because she can take a couple Grand Inquisitor resets and keep on ticking. And then while she's doing that and hitting the base, she's also damaging units on the board. So it's a twofer. I think this is a really exciting design. It's rare. Um, I'm excited about Seven Sister. I think this is one that honestly, before Seven Sister came out, and of course Force Throw, which helps. I don't think I ever would have sleeved up a Grand Inquisitor deck. Now, Grand Inquisitor's got some legs.
Yeah, you think so, huh? I mean, I I don't necessarily disagree. I certainly share your optimism about this card. I think Seventh Sister is coming in looking pretty strong with, like you said, the ability to, kind of twofer, do her 3 damage to a base and then do 3 damage to a ground unit as well.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really nice
Mm-hmm.
for 5. And I think the five cost price point right now, just looking at the cards we've seen across the board, it doesn't feel great to me,
Okay.
um, in a lot of ways. And this feels like one of the stronger options that you can have for 5 if you're
Mm-hmm.
looking for strictly a 5 drop.
Mm-hmm.
And so for that reason alone, I like her. And then add on to that her abilities. The 6 health is really good. So yeah, I think she looks really solid and does help Grand Inquisitor.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure how much, but does help
Hey, Grand
kind of
Inquisitor,
strengthen him a little bit.
Grand Inquisitor outraced Sabine when I played with it, and I think there's a world where that can happen when you're getting attacks off every round, no matter when you play a unit. So now,
I mean, yeah, reading units is good.
obviously,
It's
Tarkentown is going to present a bit of an issue. But so let's talk about the 5 costs. So I just decided to pull up some 5 cost cards, thanks to Parker over at SwooDB. It's very easy to go ahead and just do that real quick. So of the 5 cost units that exist, we have Vigilant Honor Guards, eh,
nope,
Rugged Survivors. I think that's a very niche sort of
not really.
unit. Vanquish, which I think is probably going to see an uptick at play at some point.
Well,
So,
that's not a unit, but yeah.
oh, that's a fair point. Okay, so we'll ignore Vanquish. We'll ignore Overwhelming Barrage, which is probably the best card in the game. But going back to units, so
Well,
Wedge Antilles, yeah,
yeah,
okay. Agent Callus
they're
has,
again niche. Yeah,
yep, Agent Callus has proven to be pretty useful. So we'll give Agent,
Alice is the other one.
yep.
Yeah.
And there's one that we haven't seen on this list that we'll talk about. But then there's also Zeb, which we talked about last episode. Bosk is pretty good. You have to give Bosk some credit. We love a good Bosk. The Chewbacca that resets when damage is dealt. So the cunning heroism Chewbacca. Cantina Bouncer, which is an incredible card, but also double aspect, so a little bit harder to play around. Syndicate Lackeys, not super constructed friendly. And then
Mm-mm.
Snowspeeder, which I think has seen a little bit of a downgrade in terms of its play. So of those, I do think that like it's a toss up between Seven Sister, Bosk, and Cantina Bouncer as the most exciting of the 5 costs that we have so far. And 2 of those are villainy. So,
Right.
maybe there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, I think the options are thin, and maybe it's more interesting to go 3-2 in that round,
Yeah.
or 4-1.
Yep.
And so that's I think that adds to Seventh Sisters kind of value and allure, is
Mm-hmm.
being able to fill that gap. Because she's really solid compared to the other options in that price
Totally.
point.
Totally. So let's get to some other new cards. We'll go through these kind of quickly because there's a decent chunk of them. As I mentioned, we had a really fun stream on the draft stream with just seeing a bunch of new
Yes.
cards, and so we'll get to all those. But let's hit on the other 2 cards that Nerdly gave us, starting with the Echo Based Defender. This is a 3-cost ground unit in command and heroism. It's a 4/3 Rebel Trooper with Sentinel. I love this card. I think this is a staple in any Leia deck, pretty much in any green heroism deck, because yes, the 3 health on a Sentinel is not ideal, but being able to trade up with that 4 power, I think is totally worth it when you're making your opponent attack into a unit.
Yeah, the 4 power is nice.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think this card looks really solid for Leia, and maybe even green hero in general.
Yeah, I feel better about Echo Based Defender than I do about like a Cell Block guard. Again, because of that 4 power, even though they die to the same HP. Yes, you're going to have to suffer some trade downs as a result, but I think more often than not, like, you're happy to see an Echo Based Defender. It's something you can pull with Home One, if you
Yeah.
desperately need to shore up your defenses in the ground arena when a Home One gets deployed. So yeah, I like Echo Based Defender
Yeah,
a
good
lot.
stuff.
All right, and then let's talk about Moment of Peace. This is a simple one cost vigilance event. Just very simply give a shield token to a unit. It's like Luke's ability in an event card. Um, Now it's not as good as Luke's ability, because Luke's ability doesn't cost you a card out of your hand. But there are probably going to be some uses for this somewhere. Again, 1 cost shield is on curve, and if you're looking to protect your units, like a Sentinel or like something, like playing this with an Obi-Wan doesn't feel bad at all. Playing this with pretty much anything that you need to make sure stays on the board doesn't feel terrible. It's just, again, is it worth trading the card out of your hand for that shield?
Yeah. Kevin, do you want this or do you want repair?
Oh gosh, I probably want this. I probably don't want
Really?
I probably don't want either of them in constructed, if I'm being honest. But I think this is going to, like, in the long run, I think if you repair a unit, you're in danger of that unit just getting one shot anyway. And if you play Moment of Peace, you're less in danger of that unless your opponent has Saboteur or
What
something that.
about if you use repair on the base?
If you use repair on the base, I mean, at that point, if you're trying to heal from your base, I think I'd rather just have restore units. Like, if you're in heroism, like a Yoda, there's another card that's gonna have some stuff to do with restore that we're gonna get to in a bit. Obviously, if you're in villainy, you've got Director Krennic, you've got Del Miko. I think I'd rather just have restore mechanics, because you're still doubling up with the healing of the base and the unit at the same time. Repair to me feels just a little bit clunky right now, but again, I think Moment of Peace is going to be a solid draft card. And same as repair, honestly.
Yeah. I think they occupy the same spot,
Yeah.
so it's
Mm-hmm.
just kind of a curious three damage off a base or unit or a shield. Interesting decision point there.
Yeah. So then we'll go to the Pirated Starfighter, which was the other card that was revealed by TCG Cast. This is a 2-cost space unit in Cunning. You're getting a 2/4 Underworld Vehicle Fighter that has Raid 1. And you're wondering, wow, those are great stats for a 2-cost. Well, there's a drawback. When played, return a friendly non-leader unit to its owner's hand. This is an uncommon, and I think its usage will be uncommon because you can't play it on round one, which is tough. There will be instances where you can probably, like, I think this works really well with like ambush units, right? If you ambush something out like a Bosk or like a Syndicate Lackey, and you know deal the damage and your unit is still alive, bring in Pirated Starfighter, bring that unit back to your hand, keep it around for another turn where you can ambush out again, and now you've got a 3/4 in space for a low cost. Other than that, I think it's going to be tricky to get use out of. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. It just doesn't feel like it's worth the trade off to
Mm-hmm.
me. Those stats are obviously amazing for two, but bouncing a unit back is a pretty tough ask. So I don't personally see myself playing this card very much.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to cause you to lose a little bit of tempo, and again, unless you're doing something that's ambush or when played or when you know when it leaves play, something like that, then it's going to be a little bit different. Like if you can mess with leaves play abilities, then I think you're probably in a good spot. But I don't know how much of that you're going to be able to
Yeah, I
execute.
mean, maybe it gets better with more sets if there are
Yeah,
more of those options available.
I could definitely see that being a thing for sure. So then we get to Heroic Sacrifice, which was one of the two cards spoiled by Tabletop Misfits. Heroic Sacrifice is an interesting one. This is a rare, and it's a one-cost heroism aggression event that says draw a card, then attack with a unit. For this attack, it gets +2/+0 and gains when this unit deals combat damage, defeat it. So again, playing cards that have when defeated abilities. Obviously, the art is K2SO. This goes fantastically with K2SO. It'll go great with something like Yoda, like Obi-Wan. But also, not to be outshined, one cost draw a card. Replaces itself for one, and then you get a +2/+0 attack. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think you even need to necessarily target when defeated effects with this card. Like it just potentially has a lot of like putting in an extra like the last two you need to finish the game
Mm-hmm.
or um finish off an important unit. Maybe you have a unit that's already pretty heavily damaged and so you're just going to kind of throw them to the wolves anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's some good applications for this card beyond combos and like you said, being able to replace itself just for the one resource feels good.
I will say it's a really good thing that this is a heroism card. Not that they need the help in Red Hero, but if this was a red neutral, like just aggression, the amount of work that I could put in with this card and Super Laser Technician in a green red deck
Yeah.
is unbelievable. Imagine trading your Super Laser Tech for something that has 4 health. Oh, sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But
Or even like Madi to reset a unit or
oh
something.
yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
alas, it is not to be. I don't want. I definitely don't want to pay 3 for this card, so I will not be putting it in any villain decks. But definitely some use here, and I'm going to be interested to see what people do with this. And then they also revealed the Vanguard Infantry, which is a neutral unit. It's a well, not fully neutral, but no morality aspect. It's a one cost command ground unit. It's a 1/2 trooper, and when it's defeated, you may give an experience token to a unit. So there you go. Play Heroic Sacrifice with your Vanguard Infantry. Trade up to something that has 3 health, and then give an experience token and draw a card. There's your combo right there. You're good.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure this one makes the cut for me. As much as I love my one drops, it just feels like green has too many other cheap options that are just better.
Hmm. Yeah, I think maybe in a trooper deck, something that something that really values experience. Maybe this sees something. I mean, I think this is going to be a nice one drop in a limited format. Um,
Yeah, it's great and limited, I think.
yeah, but aside from that, it's going to be a tough ask. All right, so then we get to the cards that were revealed on the FFG stream. We'll start with the only cunning card that was revealed. And this is Bounty Hunter Crew. This is a 6-cost Cunning Villainy ground unit. For those 6 resources, you're getting a 4/4 Underworld Bounty Hunter with Ambush. And when this unit is played, you may return an event from a discard pile to its owner's hand. This is a common. Corwin, what do you like about this card?
The ambush is nice. The body, not so much. We've seen the 4/4 body come in for 6 before, and it hasn't felt great. So I kind of feel the same with this card too. Being able to recycle, I mean, Villainy Cunning has so many good events. Like being able to recycle one of those definitely feels good, but I just think it's overcosted at 6.
Yeah, I think that they definitely valued the ambush for the extra 1 resource and the when played for the second 1 resource, because I mean, the art is tremendous. It looks like it could be great in limited, but I don't know how often I'm going to want to ambush with Bounty Hunter Crew when I can just ambush with Bosk. Or
Yep.
even we talked about Syndicate Lackeys. That at least is a 5/4.
5,
And
exactly.
and
This
costs
this
and
feels
costs
like it should
5.
be 5.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I look forward to being proven wrong, but yeah, I think this one for me is probably on the outside looking in. But again, still looks amazing, and they had a foil of it on the stream, and it looked really
Yeah,
sick.
the foil of this looked really nice.
So, yeah, we'll definitely enjoy seeing that in foil format. We got a couple red cards on the stream, starting with Jeddah Agitator. This is a 2-cost ground unit in aggression. You're getting a 2/1 rebel, not a heroism card by the way, but it is a rebel trait. The 2/1 that has Saboteur, and on attack, if you control a leader unit, deal 2 damage to a ground unit or base. I did think it was interesting that this sort of completed the cycle. Well, it didn't complete the cycle, but there was a cycle that was talked about of cards that are better with leaders in play. So this is apparently the red one. Rugged Survivors being the blue one. Outer Rim Headhunter was the yellow one, and then we'll see the green one here in a minute. But again, this is one. If you're buffing rebels, if you desperately need Saboteur, cool. But aside from that, like you only want this when you have your leader out, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, not a particularly remarkable card. I don't see it making a cut in a constructed format, so probably limited only.
I do love the Hold My Beer artwork. That's been pointed out several times, and it's pretty great. The other red card that we got was Power Failure, which is a 2-cost aggression event that says defeat any number of upgrades on a unit. If you're going against a Tarkin deck or pretty much any command deck, this is going to feel pretty good. Otherwise, I feel like this is probably a sideboard card.
Yeah, when it's good, it's really good.
Yeah.
And otherwise, it's just terrible. So,
Yeah.
um, that's my take. It's gonna have its moments, and for the most part, it's gonna be very inconsistent.
Agreed. Not much else to say about that one. So we'll get into the blue cards. There's some cool ones here. I have to start with the AT-AT Suppressor because it's an AT-AT, and I like big things, and I cannot lie. So this AT-AT Suppressor, it's 8 cost, Vigilance Villainy ground unit. For that 8 cost, you're getting an 8/8 Imperial Vehicle Walker, and when played, you exhaust all ground units. Don't love the ability. If there's a way to ambush this out with Piet, then it's probably feels a lot better. But it looks really cool, and I like AT-ATs. I like big stuff, so that it's got that going for it.
Yeah, I might like this card a little bit more than you. Just I think the ability is interesting. Um, as a way to potentially kind of stall and buy some time in the ground arena late if needed. So it might have its uses, but I think generally speaking, we've seen a lot of 8 drops that are really, really good. And so I think
Yeah,
that's where this card kind of falls short, is that it just doesn't compare or stack up in the same way as some of those other options at 8.
I think I'd rather have Blizzard AT-AT than this, but you know, AT-ATs are cool, so I'm not going to knock it. You know what else is cool? Tanks. Cargo Juggernaut is a 6-cost vigilance ground unit. You're getting a 4/6 vehicle tank. Tank keyword is awesome. Comes in shielded, which is cool. And when played, if you control another vigilance unit, heal 4 damage from your base. Now, I like this card significantly more than I like the AT-AT suppressor. I think this one is gonna see some use in both limited and in constructed potentially, because healing 4 damage on play is not anything to sneeze at. And if you have a wide spread of blue units in your deck, this card fits right in.
Yeah, this is definitely one of my favorites of the bunch that we saw from the stream.
Mm-hmm.
I think this card is actually really good. The being able to heal 4 is that's so much extra value you get for your 6 resource. And this is what I mean about Bounty Hunter Crew. It's like it just doesn't feel like you're getting the same value for the same cost. And so Juggernaut definitely is a card that fits the model of what blue is trying to do. Shield and restore on like that's great. So I really like this card a lot.
That's a really good point about Bounty Hunter Crew being literally the same cost as this card.
Yep.
You know, and obviously, like, if there's an event you just have to have back, that's one thing. You know, maybe it's Overwhelming Barrage, and then it's worth it. But, you know, chances are you're not playing that Overwhelming Barrage till next turn anyway. Because otherwise, you know, otherwise you have 11 resources that they're just hanging out. So yeah, I think that point is excellent that you made. That if I'm choosing between Bounty Hunter Crew and Cargo Juggernaut for 6, I'd rather have Cargo Juggernaut. So and even if the Restore 4 wasn't there, you're still getting 2 more health and shielded for that cost. So
yeah,
there you go. I really like this next card. This is Devotion. This is a 2-cost vigilance upgrade, and it gives +1/+1, and attached unit also gains Restore 2. This card to me is one of the stars, not just from an artwork perspective, but from an actual gameplay perspective of the whole stream. I think in a blue deck, this is going to be a really useful upgrade. I know it only provides +1/+1, but that like giving a unit that didn't previously have restore is going to be something that's going to make it really, you know, challenging to chew through your base's health. And also, like, it maybe you use this to paint a target on somebody's back that, you know, prevents your opponent from targeting something else because they don't want you to keep restoring. If you put this on a space unit, for example, and your opponent doesn't have anything in the space arena, I mean, you're just restoring for days. So I really like Devotion. I think this is going to be a solid card.
I'm with you, and I think I would pay 2 for this just for the Restore 2.
Yeah.
But then the fact you're throwing the +1/+1 on top of it
Mm-hmm.
makes it really strong.
Yeah.
So I do like this card quite a bit as well, and I think for your blue decks makes a lot of sense.
Blue's got some good upgrades between this and Entrenched. You know, there's going to be some slots that you're going to want to save for upgrades, which, you know, how that balances out the rest of your deck is going to be very interesting, because already we've seen, you know, and you know, look, if you're
lightsaber too,
right, and that's what I was going to say. If you're in heroism vigilance, and you've got Jedi lightsaber, I mean, what do you cut?
Yep.
So
yep, some good stuff there.
Yeah, I think we're getting to the point now that we've had so many cards revealed. I think we're getting to the point where deck building is a lot tougher, because there's a lot more cuts that are hard to make, which is exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
That's great. That's great for the health of the game, because you're not going to see the same 50 in every single deck, and I think that's really cool. And then there was Make an Opening, which is a 3-cost vigilance event that says give a unit -2/-2 for this phase, heal 2 damage from your base. Corwin, where do you land on Make an Opening?
I'm not crazy about it. I think that it feels tough to pay 3 for this card. You know, maybe you can knock out a smaller unit with it, and the heal 2 is nice, but I don't know. I don't think I can get there. I think it just feels very average.
I liked it a lot better when I first saw it. because I think my mind immediately went to the magical Christmas land scenario of your opponent has an impactful unit that has 2 health left. So you
Mhm,
use this to defeat that unit and then heal 2 damage. And for
mhm.
that, 3 is great. I think it's going to be tough to always get to that point where you're taking out a meaningful unit with the first part of this event. So I think I'm with you. Again, you're healing 2 from your base for 3. And then yes, the added benefit of the -2/-2, but like you were just talking about repair, which I don't think either of us necessarily want to play right now. And that's 1 cost for 3 damage from your base. So I don't know.
Yeah, and even just thinking about devotion right now,
Mm-hmm.
like you're paying 2 for a restore 2, which is essentially heal 2 damage from your base, assuming you can get the attack off, and then you've got your +1/+1 buff. So the all you're getting with this card with make an opening is the extra, -1/-1 to a unit, which I'm not paying a resource for that.
Right. Right. No, it's a valid point. So let's move on to the green cards. Because we I think we got the most green cards out of any color revealed in the stream. This is Mercenary Company. This is another 6 cost, so get your comparison tool ready here. 6 cost command ground unit. It's a 5/5 underworld trooper with ambush and overwhelm. So 5/5 on a stick, comes in with ambush, overwhelms. You still taking this over Bounty Hunter Crew?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Very vanilla card, but I think having the 5/5 body coming in, that feels okay for 6. And I guess that matters to me.
Yeah. Yeah, again, I don't know how much play this season constructed, but this could also be a sideboard card if you need extra ambush units. Drop it in. I think also when the underworld keyword becomes relevant, whether that's in this set or in future
Mm,
sets, I think Mercenary Company gets a lot better because we are seeing some pretty decent underworld cards that are being
I
revealed.
could see that.
Yeah. So then we see Mon Mothma, which I really like. Mon Mothma. Mon Mothma is a 2 cost ground unit in command and heroism. Mon Mothma is a 1/3 rebel official. And when played, search the top 5 cards of your deck for a rebel card, reveal it, and draw it. And then you put the other cards on the bottom of your deck in a random order. Mon Mothma to me is like an awesome round 1 play. Like you get to search for a rebel right off the gate. You've got a 1/3 out there, so it isn't necessarily going to die immediately. I like Mon Mothma a lot.
Me too. And I think if I think she was the runner up to the runner up in terms of the
Mm,
choice of favorites with Force Throw versus her. But I think Mon Mothma is probably my favorite card from the stream.
wow.
She's I think she's really solid and provides some extra draw consistency for you in what's already turning out to be a pretty solid archetype
Mm,
with rebels, cheap rebels. So definitely feel good about Mon Mothma, and as someone that can help you dig, and if she ever comes back from another effect, she can grab more rebels for you.
mhm.
So definitely feel like I'm going to be just fine bringing her out to start the game and getting some more options in my hand.
Yeah. Yeah, no question about it. I think Mon Mothma provides some good value. And then we've got Steadfast Battalion. Now, I mentioned the cycle previously of units that get better with a leader unit in play. This is the green one. It's a 5 cost command ground unit. You get a 5/5 trooper with overwhelm. And on attack, if you control a leader unit, give a friendly unit +2/+2 for this phase. I don't think it's that bad. I mean, it suffers from not having any additional traits besides trooper. But 5/5 overwhelm is relevant. You're getting a potential buff, and you're doing it all on a cost curve for a single aspect card. Not terrible.
Yeah, seems fine.
Yeah.
Seems seems like a really strong 5 drop for draft and sealed. Um, and the bonus of having the leader out, I think it definitely helps it. But doesn't still doesn't feel super great at 5.
Yeah.
Um, So it's a wait and see type of thing with this one.
Well, we were having this discussion just previously. I mean, do you run this at 5 or do you run Callus at 5?
Right. I would much rather have Callus personally.
Callus, even though it's a 4/4, does give you the ambush and it gives you the potential card draw. So I think I'm with you.
Callus's 4 health has always been my issue with the card,
Mm-hmm.
but the more I've seen it in action, the more I'm convinced that the value's there.
I think I'm with you. I think I'm with you. All right. Now, this is one of my favorite cards of the stream. This is Strike True. This is a command event that is 3 cost, and it reads: a friendly unit deals damage equal to its power to an enemy unit. I think command has had somewhat of a lack of dedicated removal at its disposal, and I think this really does help that, because you can't always guarantee an overwhelming barrage is going to matter. You can't always guarantee that that you're going to have enough Imperial units for a maximum firepower, something like that. So like having Strike True, especially if you add that to the pre-existing overwhelming barrage and takedown and potentially vanquish, like and force choke, you're building yourself up to a pretty decent suite of removal here, in all colors. So I think adding this to the removal pool is really cool.
Yeah, I think I'm fine with it, and I think it's nice that it has more upside than say open fire,
Mm.
which costs the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that about it for sure, and I think we'll just have to see what the right balance is going to be for the removal options you have at your disposal and where those all fit into your deck building.
I'll tell you what, Tarkin's gonna love this with all the
Mm.
experience he's given out. Just being able to use all that
Yep.
power to your advantage. Yeah, really good card in Tarkin, and pretty much anything green because they're so locked in on experience tokens. So yeah, I think Strike True is gonna see some play. And then finally, this was pack one, pick one for Tyler when he was drafting his deck. This is Traitorous. This is a 5-cost command upgrade. It does not give you any stats buff. It's a +0/+0. But when this upgrade becomes attached to a non-leader unit that costs 3 or less, you take control of that unit. When this upgrade becomes unattached from a unit, that unit's owner takes control of it. So, 3-cost unit, I'm stealing it with Traitorous. Now, where I land on this is that worth 5?
Mm.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, that's my question as well. It feels like it could be,
Yeah.
because it's a yeah, it's a 6 resource swing
Mm-hmm.
potentially if you think about just like taking away 3 of theirs and giving yourself 3.
Mm-hmm.
And there could be extra value to be had if that 3-cost unit you're stealing is like a Veers or something else that's buffing the other side,
Yep.
passively. So I like it from that perspective,
Mm-hmm.
but it does feel like it's limited by that 3 cost. So I don't know. I'm not sure where it falls for me yet on the spectrum, but it's a very cool card to have in the game just as a way for, green to flex a little bit of, you know, shenanigans muscle.
I think of Change of Heart,
Right, exactly.
and I think that costs 6, but it's only for a round. Traitorous
Yep.
sticks around for as long as you keep that upgrade on it. Um, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I think it's worth it because realistically, what you could do and what you probably should do is you're paying 5 to use Traitorous, so you're either removing one of your opponent's pieces while simultaneously adding one of yours for 5, or you're removing one of your opponent's pieces and then using that piece to remove a second opponent's piece, thereby 2 for zeroing basically. Like it's at that point it's almost a pay 5, defeat 2 units, right?
Mhm.
So I think in that aspect it's worth it. if you pay 5 for this and you're unable to trade with something, or you're unable to do a significant amount of damage to it, or with it, I would say it's a little bit more of a feel bad. But the other side of that is if your opponent has to use one of their resources to get rid of your traitorous unit, they've now essentially open fired or take down or whatever on their own unit. So there's an argument to be had for that as well. So I do think this'll have some interesting uses. I don't know that it makes it into any deck that I've built to this point, but I also haven't tried it out and I haven't seen it used because it never ended up getting used in the game that Tyler played, and it was in his deck. So
Well, and for me, it adds more intrigue to the 5-drop conversation.
Yeah,
because we've talked about the relative weakness of the 5-drops we've seen thus far from a unit perspective. Can this card fill that gap by stealing a less powerful unit from your opponent?
Right.
And that's, to me, is what makes it interesting.
I
would need to see it play out in practice to kind of feel how impactful it really is, and whether that 5 cost is going to be worth it.
I would love to steal an echo-based Defender with this. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Steal your opponent's Sentinel, right? Force them to attack into it. If you're playing this in a heroism deck and your opponent drops a red 3, steal the red 3, and now all of a sudden all your heroism units have extra damage when they attack. That seems pretty good. So I definitely think there'll be uses for this. It probably would be way over curve if this was 5 and you could get a 4 cost. So
definitely.
Yeah. So I guess that makes
way too strong.
That makes a lot of sense. But that's about it. Really exciting stream, really exciting, couple weeks of reveals and hype for Star Wars Unlimited, because again, by the time this episode drops, we're going to be a full week into January, and we're one step closer to that March 1st pre-release. I can't wait to rip packs. I can't wait. And I'm hoping that that all the pre-orders I put in get fulfilled, and that we have plenty of product to go around in our area, because I know that there are a lot of people in our area that are also excited to play. So we're getting closer finally.
Yep. Feels good to be continuing to count the days down, knowing that we're under 2 months. We're getting days checked off the calendar, and it's going to be a good time when we can finally get packs in our hands.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Roll On Gaming. Thank you all so much for listening. If you made it this far and you enjoyed it, please again drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and comment down below what you're most excited about when you're drafting or playing sealed. Which format is your favorite? What are some of the cards that you saw these last couple weeks that you really enjoyed or you're really excited to build with? Just let us know in the comments below, and we'll be happy to engage with you either in the comments or on our social media. Again, and check out Deploy Your Leader Gaming. We're going to be continuing to release periodic articles. Yeah, that one. As we get closer to the game and beyond, and then they will also be a source of buying singles and sealed product on that website as well. So check them out. But that's it for us for this week. It's been fun as always, and we'll see you next time. For my brother Corwin, I'm Kevin, signing off. Have a great day.